After 5 years of implementing Resolution 29 on fundamental and comprehensive reform of education and training, Vietnam's education sector has achieved some important results. In particular, the Ministry of Education and Training has issued regulations to revise and improve the quality of higher education. However, the Industrial Revolution 4.0 requires the training at higher education to change more thoroughly. The shortage of high-quality human resources and low labor productivity are challenging issues for Vietnam to be ready for a new development stage based on science and technology of 4.0. In this context, enhancing international cooperation with advanced educational countries such as Sweden is a solution for Vietnam to learn experiences and effectively reform education system in general and higher education in particular.
Greetings from Trang Vietnam on VTC10 Net Việt. Sweden has many advantages in education system. So what are the possibilities for the cooperation between Vietnam and Sweden in education? In today's show, let's have a talk with two guest speakers from Sweden. They are Mr. Wasburn from Swedish Institute and Linda Bock from Uppsala University on this topic. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The first question, how do you see the development of the educational system in Vietnam in recent years?
So we have Uppsala University have the regional representative office here in Vietnam, where we, for example, work with recruitment, but also develop a collaboration with a lot of Vietnamese universities. So I've been here for 1 year, but I mean, what I've learned is that it's been a very fast development in the education sector in Vietnam, where the quality is improving and the standards. And I know that the Ministry of Education and Training are doing a lot of things related to that, but also very eager to develop international collaboration. And of course, you also have an increasing amount of students that want to study abroad. So there are many different things happening in the education system in Vietnam. And one interesting thing is also the issue of autonomy. So I attended and had a keynote speech last weekend about the autonomy process in Sweden. And I mean, there are a lot of discussions going on that topic here in Vietnam, which I found very interesting and important for the education, higher education institution and the system as a whole in Vietnam. So I look forward to follow that for the future.
Vietnam has made a lot of effort to reform the educational system over the years. So what are the positive changes have you seen in the educational system in Vietnam?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if I take the autonomy reform, or what is going on there, is that it's easier for Vietnamese universities to develop international collaboration, for example. And that is, of course, the ability to send students for exchange, or teachers or researchers. All those things are, if that is making things easier, that is also a way to learn from Vietnam, but also a lot of mutual collaboration. So it's not only one way, of course. There can also be many teachers, students, researchers coming to Vietnam, so we can share experiences in the higher education system.
In your opinion, who plays the biggest role in assuring that Vietnam can achieve the success in the education system?
I also think it's up to the, if the goal is for Vietnam to become a more innovative country, I think there's a lot of responsibility on the individual students. No matter where they go, they need, now the way the world works, the way the job market works, students have to be able to come up with their own ideas. They have to be able to think creatively. And whether they go to Sweden or another country, I think they need to get used to kind of a new way of studying, perhaps, where they have more responsibility on themselves, because that's the way the job market works. You can't just kind of memorize the textbook and then ace every exam. So I think it's up to the students to kind of challenge themselves and place themselves in an environment like Sweden where they learn these tools.
What is the meaning of this study in Sweden in the relation between Vietnam and Sweden in education? And can you share more with us about the purpose of this activity?
So I work for the government of Sweden, and the organization I work for, we basically promote Sweden abroad. And so Study in Sweden is an initiative where we basically attract international students from all over the world to come study in Sweden. Our cooperation in Vietnam is focused mostly on attracting master's students to Sweden. We offer over 1,000 English taught programs in Sweden, which is among the most in Europe.
Ranked fourth in the world for higher education, Swedish Education focuses on the development of creativity, critical thinking, and logical reasoning ability. This has helped Sweden win a number of Nobel Prizes from literature to science and technology, and is a valuable experience for education reform in Vietnam.
Very often here in Vietnam I get questions, why is it that Sweden has so many leads in different rankings in the world, the most innovative country, the most countries with startups, a pleasant country to live in. I think it has to do a lot with our education system. What we're doing today, we have a lot of outreach from Swedish universities in Vietnam, and I'm very happy. So they are active, not only recruiting students, but also working on creating a stronger partnership between Sweden and Vietnam in higher education.
Rất nhiều những cái giá trị văn hóa Thụy Điển đã ở xung quanh ta nhưng mà ta không nhận ra, cho đến khi mà tôi đi học tại Thụy Điển thì tôi mới nhận ra là có những cái giá trị của quốc gia mà mình có thể mang đi đến toàn cầu, và tôi hy vọng rằng một ngày nào đấy tôi cũng có thể mang được những cái giá trị của Việt Nam đến bạn bè quốc tế.
In recent years, Vietnam and Sweden regularly exchange delegations at all levels to promote cooperation in education, especially higher education. Most recently was a visit of Minister of Education Phùng Xuân Nhạ to Sweden, and specific collaboration contents were signed. The government of Vietnam would like Sweden to help Vietnam by sending lecturers and volunteers to teach foreign language, training teachers, sharing experiences in implementing triple helix, the model of connecting government, school, enterprise, in order to ensure training associated with social needs.
Thực ra với cái chương trình hợp tác của Trường Đại học Kinh tế Đại học Quốc gia Hà Nội với Đại học Uppsala Thụy Điển thì đã mang lại cho chúng tôi rất là nhiều lợi ích. Chúng tôi quan trọng nhất đấy là cái vấn đề mà chuyển giao công nghệ đào tạo. Và qua cái tiếp cận từ phía cả từ sinh viên cho đến giảng viên thì chúng tôi đã nâng cao được rất nhiều về cái công nghệ, cái phương pháp giảng dạy, và từ đó là áp dụng cho cả các chương trình trong nước.
It's a very good potential. We haven't any collaborations yet, but we're open to find partners here in Vietnam. And I think it's very important to have relations between the universities, both on research level and also on other levels for the students.
What are the benefits do you think that the Vietnamese students can gain if they go study in Sweden?
So yeah, that's a really good question. I'm originally from the US, and I think a lot of Vietnamese students often think of studying in the US as the kind of the obvious option. However, if you compare Swedish universities, the quality of the education you get in Sweden for the price you pay is much more affordable in Sweden. We have the highest number of the world's top 200 ranked universities per capita in Sweden. For a master's program, you're going to pay probably 1/3 of the cost of what you would pay in the US for a similarly ranked university. Also, Sweden is a fantastic place to live. The quality of life is excellent. Sweden's one of the most innovative countries in the world. Students in the classroom, they learn to think critically, to think creatively. And I think these are things where, I mean, Sweden is excellent in many ways. We're among the world's most creative countries, innovative countries. And it's part, and thanks to our higher education system. And so that's what I think students get from Sweden.
Now, Sweden has some of the biggest companies in the world, and so is it the result of better educational system? And then you may share some lessons for Vietnam in order to learn and build an efficient education system which is able to meet the demand of the socio-economic development of Vietnam and also of the job market.
So I mean, I would say there's a very intimate relationship what you're taught at the universities, like Douglas said, to think critically, but also very independent and more creative, and that is a very good skills for when you come out to the labor market after. But of course, we are also very good to with the triple helix concept. So there's a very strong link between startups and incubation centers, which are actually, like for in Uppsala, located at the university. So there's a strong collaboration there between companies and the universities.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's related to what Anna said. Also, Sweden is one of the, maybe the most non-hierarchical countries in the world. The classrooms are very informal. So it's not just about having an informal relationship with your teachers or your professors, but you can question them. Swedish companies are very non-hierarchical. I think the informality is a reflection of Swedish society as a whole. It's part of the classrooms, but I think that's one of the reasons why we have so much innovation from Sweden. Because even if you're a junior employee, I think if we have Vietnamese students going to Sweden, it's a wonderful place to start your career. You can work in Sweden after you graduate. But even as a junior employee, your ideas are going to be listened to. So these companies, they're getting so many more ideas than they would in a very structured organization. So I think it's connected to both the classrooms and then also the corporate culture in Sweden.
Vietnam's Minister of Education and Training just had a visit to Sweden. So how do you think that the visit will work for the bilateral cooperation between Vietnam and Sweden in education?
So I received Minister Nha when he came to Uppsala University and also to Stockholm, where he did his trip to the Nordic countries. And I think the total number in the delegation was 100 with more than 40 universities. So it was very nice to receive the minister in Vietnam. And for me, because that was just when I came here, so the last year has been, that was very important for my work in Vietnam, that we had that visit in the beginning, and I think the ministry and the higher education institutions are also very eager to develop collaboration after that visit. So it was very, very important for the collaboration between Sweden and Vietnam in general. We've seen a lot of things happening since then, for sure.
Once again, thank you for joining us and for your meaningful sharings today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's all we have for this episode of Strength Vietnam today. For comment and feedback, don't hesitate to write to us at strengthvietnam@netvietttv.net. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.